centers have been plagued with funding challenges. How will you be able to help maintain home-delivered meal and congregate meal programs? We're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to start with Mr. Knight.
Well, at the state level, we take our priorities and we fund them. That is the best way to go about this. When you run out of money, you've run out.
Or raise taxes.
Or raise taxes. What we have done over the last couple of years is we have taken money away from a lot of programs that shouldn't have been taken away from. Now, we have to look at our citizenry and see who needs this money. If the government's going to help, then who do we need to help? Do we need to help our disabled community? Do we need to help our children? Do we need to help our seniors? I mean, those are the three groups that should come to mind when we say we're going to use government dollars to help people. Those should be the three groups. Now, what has happened in the state of California is we have 32% of all the welfare in America here in California. 32%. Now, if we are going to keep subsidizing something that is going to take away from monies that we could be helping those three groups, then we're going to be stuck. We're going to be in a difficult situation, and that's what we are today. We didn't take any money out of subsidies this last time. For 2 years we haven't done that. So these subsidies have continued on. And when you give the most, people will come. If you give the best benefit, people will come. That's why those 32% of all the welfare in America are here. Now, what we should do is look at these three groups and say, look, this is a priority. These senior centers, this money can filter down to senior centers. Absolutely. There's nothing that says that that can't happen. There's nothing that says that that money can't help disabled in our communities. But if we're going to put that as a priority, then let's do that. And let's stop some of the subsidies that we give out in California.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. Mr. Headington.
Right, I think Steve makes a really good point in terms of priorities, and I think there's some reforms that we could pursue in terms of restoring some sanity to our fiscal and political process. I'd look at a rainy day fund, I'd look at tier budgeting, performance-based budgeting, as well as some other things like pay-go and what's going on with Prop 31. So I think there's some reforms that we can go after to kind of get this budget in whack that has been out of whack for so long. But the point that I want to make, and I wish my opponent were here because I'd like to hear his answer, is that these priorities are happening within one side of the aisle. And unfortunately, even if you have a good idea, if you're not part of the majority caucus, it's really difficult to say this is a priority, we need to focus on this. Now, I know we may have divergent opinions on that, but you need to ask yourself, do you want someone that's going to be in the room, that's going to be able to articulate and advocate on your behalf on these issues, that will have perhaps advisory council for seniors, or do you want someone else who's going to be outside of the caucus who won't have as much influence and certainly won't have as much impact as Cameron has because it's further to the right? So I think you need to look at, one is what is the process by which we determine priorities, and who can be the best voice for you? And if things like influence, effectiveness, and impact are important, then I'm your choice.
Dr. Rogers.
Yeah, we can't let seniors starve. That's the first thing. We have to make that an absolute priority for us. And seniors, I see this as 75% of my patients are on Medicare. I deal with seniors all the time, and they have complications. These are seniors that are very sick. I deal with complications of diabetes. And a lot of them have to choose between paying for their medications or paying for their meals. And these programs, these Meals on Wheels programs and other meals programs are very important. They do receive federal funding, and I make a commitment to make sure that it's adequately funded. And my grandmother received Meals on Wheels until she was 96 years old. She was independent, lived in her apartment until she was 96 years old. And if she didn't have that, she would have been in a nursing home, a lot longer before that. She actually went to a nursing home. My dad died. He was living with her. My dad died suddenly, and we had to put my grandmother in a nursing home while we were making arrangements for my dad's funeral. And my grandmother died 3 days later in the nursing home because of just the change and all of that. So, this keeps people alive. And nutrients are important. A lot of the complications that I see are caused by malnutrition. It's unbelievable the amount of malnutrition we see in seniors. So you have my commitment that I will work hard to make sure that seniors do not starve.
In my travel to the different senior citizen facilities, it's appalling for me to hear that there are cuts happening. When I talked to Brad in reference to the issue regarding how the meals are being cut and how there's a lack of transportation, I just can't believe that our government would touch that segment of the population. One of the things that I would like to see happen is that as your next state legislator, I continue to go around to all the different senior citizen facilities, and I want to actually look at their budget, and I want to find solutions to maybe where we could probably recoup other monies, where we could find solutions to have more money coming into the senior citizen facilities. And so one of the things that I would probably like to do, that I've seen happen, I would like to maybe put a tax on some of these big oil companies. I would like to take the fraction of that money and put it into the senior citizen facilities. You know, the government seems to keep thinking it can touch two populations, senior citizens and children. I've been witnessing what's happening in our public schools. There has got to be some protocols where all the legislators, meeting of the minds, come together and say, you know what, there's two areas that we cannot touch as far as funding. Public schools, and we cannot touch senior citizen facilities. We cannot. So one of the things, again, tax on the big oil companies. Thank you.